Good morning, everyone. My name is Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. Just trying to adjust this camera a little bit here. Today I want to do a tutorial for you on how I make these bags. These little tote bags. And this is the one that I use to carry when I go shopping. I don't use a purse anymore. I just use one of these bags that I made. I just stick my wallet, my cell phone, my checkbook. Whatever I happen to need, I throw in that bag. The base of the bag is roughly 10 inches by 4 inches, and then it is 10 inches tall. So I've never really sat down and written a pattern, and I did attempt with this, but my instructions, they make sense to me, but I don't think they're gonna make sense to everyone else. So my thoughts were, I'll just do a tutorial video. It makes sense to me. Don't mind the fact that I look like a little bit of a wild child. I have some leave-in conditioner that I put in my hair. It's a little bit tangled. I washed it, put in some conditioner, and I'm just kind of letting it soak in and do whatever leave-in conditioner does. Anyway, this is how I've always done the bag. I just chain a chain that is the width of the Art of War. But I did count out the chains, and I did, for the purpose of making this video, try to make some more clear instructions on how to do this. So first of all, you're going to need a crochet hook. This one, it's a J, also known as a 10 or 5.75 millimeter J hook. Now I love this cotton for these bags. I generally use 2 skeins of a variegated and 2 skeins of a solid. And the reason that I use 2 skeins is because I'm going to take 2 strands and put them side by side together for this. Now, first you're going to start with a slip knot. It is good to have scissors close by, and I also like to have stitch markers. Stitch markers not required, but I think they're a game changer. We're going to chain 36. I went too far. That's 37. Okay, so we're gonna take one out. Okay, so you're gonna end up, honestly, it doesn't matter what size your chain is. It doesn't matter. You can literally do these. Everything about this bag is customizable. You can make it longer if you want a longer bag. You can make it shorter if you want a little bag. You can even make it round. I have made a round base and made these bags with a round base before. You have many different things you can do. Okay, so when you have your 36 chained, next you're just going to turn and single crochet. So you're going to single crochet in that first chain, and then you're going to single crochet in the next one. You're going to single crochet the entire length of the chain. I have made these bags considerably larger before. I don't have any to show you because of the fact that I give away almost every single bag I make. I have my one behind me that I use everywhere I go, but the rest of them that I have made, I have given away, including the ones with the round base. Now these these bags, working with 2 strands of cotton and single crochets, I will say that this is harder on my hands than, say, doing a granny square blanket. I can granny square till the cows come home and it doesn't cause me any pain. But these bags, the last 2 days I was setting up for making this tutorial. So I have a bag that I made almost all the way to the end because I want to show you how I do the handles. But I also have another one that I started over here. And then, so basically I'm working on 3 bags at once with this. But in addition to that, I also finished up a couple of rounds on my granny square blanket. And then I started a whole nother project that I'll show you eventually when I'm done with all of this. But yeah, so I woke up in the middle of the night and my hand and my arm were in pain, like the muscles and stuff. Everything hurt in this arm because I overdid it. And the tendon, because I have had tendonitis in the past. And when I did have tendonitis before, I was making a lot of these bags. And I do tend to make a lot of these bags. So I have to spread them out, work on them for maybe a little bit at a time, and then do something else. Or I usually try to spend about a week on one of these bags. Yes, I can make one in a day, but I'm going to regret it. And I'm going to develop pain in my hand and wrist if I work on it until it's done and do one in one day. Okay, so I am at the end of my chain. Okay, so when you get to the end, because you chained 36, you should have 35 single crochets. And when you get to the end, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to turn this project, and you're going to single crochet in the first single crochet. So you're going to start a second row, and you're going to go all the way across again. So this is the second row of single crochets. Now, to get the bag exactly the way I do it, you will need 14 rows of single crochets. So let's just set this one off to the side, and I will pull over the next part of the project so that I can show you. This right here is what it looks like with 14 rows of single crochets. So this is the base of the bag. So now we get to the point where we start the rounds, because this bag is crocheting in the round and around and around and around. So I'm going to pull out my stitch marker here. Oops, if I can get my stitch marker off of there. If you hear my dog woofing in the background, it's because he hears, sorry, he hears noises outside, and this is not working for me. Okay, I apologize. I had to step away briefly to go close my front porch door and settle my dog down. So now where were we? We're on a rectangle. I've got 14 rows of single crochets. And then when you get to this end, normally you would chain 1 and then go back the other way. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go down this edge right here. So I'm going to throw a stitch in the end there, and we're going to turn this thing, and we're going to go around the end. And so I'm going to go all the way across here. And this is the start of crocheting in the round. Now when you get to the corners, you're not going to, if you were doing a project where you wanted it to lay flat and have a nice corner, you would do like 3 stitches in the corner. You're going to do 2 in this situation. 1 on this side, and then you're going to flip it, and you're going to do 1 on this side, and you're going to keep going all the way around. And it's just single crochets in the round, all the way around, all the way around here. And when you get to this side and you're single crocheting across this end here, you're going to crochet over the top of this tail so that you don't have to weave that in later. I like crocheting over the top of the tail where I can, so that I have less ends that I have to weave in at the end. So we're just going to keep on going around and around and around. Okay, so let's set this off to the side. And then we're going to grab the next part of the project so I can show you what to do when you get to the next step. Now you can do this with all skeins of yarn being the same. There's no reason you have to do a color change like what I do. Okay, so here's a bag that I've got completed up to where the handles are. So I want to show you a couple of things quick. Firstly, when you get to, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get to roughly round 4, you're going to do a decrease, because the point is you want the sides of the bag to stand upright, and they're going to stand upright pretty much the whole way up if you set this thing down. Like I can set this bag down and it's standing up on its own. But it will be too floppy and it'll kind of lean outward. So you have to do decreases. And so what I did was 2 decreases, 1 here and 1 here on this side. And on the small end, 1 somewhere in the middle. So on both sides, on the long side, there's 2 decreases, and on the short sides, there's 1 decrease. So you're going to do 6 total decreases when you are roughly on round 4. It does not have to be exact. This bag turns out great. It turns out amazing. Like I said, everything's customizable. I don't count the stitches and determine where the decreases are. I just know roughly when I need to decrease, and I do my decreases. And that is roughly on round 4. And then for me, I switch. I cut off my solid color and I switch to the variegated, and then I just keep going around and around and around. And let's see how many rounds are on this bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So you're going to do roughly 36 rounds on this bag. You're going to go around like 36 times with the single crochets. You can leave it all the same color, or you can do like I did and you can switch. And then I switch back to my solid color at the top because I really like the two-tone bag. Now on one side it's very smooth, and on the other side you can see where the switch happened. When you get your 36th round done, then it's time to think about the handles. So this is a small bag. So basically what I do is I have a loop that I make, and there are 11 single crochets within that loop that I make. I chain 15, but I have 11. So I already have stitch markers. Basically what you do is you eyeball it and you try to make sure that these are centered. There's no counting, no perfection. It's just hold this thing up, make sure you've got it centered, put your stitch markers in place. And the great thing about using the stitch markers is that if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't look centered, you can move the stitch markers. So I make sure that mine looks right and that I have the stitch markers where I want my handles before I even start my handles. So let me remove this stitch marker here and I will show you how I do my handles. I like this stitch marker. It looks like a little piece of yarn or a little skein of yarn. It's really cute. Okay, so I have got my hook back in my bag. Let me get my yarn over on this side here. So I am approaching where my handle will be. So we're just going to quick and finish this round to right before the handle. Now I've already got my 11 single crochets marked out with these stitch markers. So I'm going to crochet up to this first stitch marker. Okay, I have reached the stitch marker. Now we're going to chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we've got stitch marker here in place and stitch marker here in place. So I know where I need to reattach right on the other side of this stitch marker. So then I'm going to single crochet in to that first stitch on the other side of my stitch markers, and I have a nice little loop here. Oops. And now we're going to go around to the other side. Okay, we're on the other side now. So I've got my loop over here, and now I've reached my stitch marker on the other side. So now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've got 15 chains, and I'm going to loop over the top of my stitch markers, and on the other side I'm going to single crochet into the first stitch on the other side of my stitch markers. So now we're going to keep going because we're not done. We're going to go all the way around. With this bag, to do the handles, you're going to have to do 3 more rounds. It's 3 more rounds after you've got your loops in place for the handles, which I will show you quickly how we do that part. Let me skip ahead here to the part where I approach the handle. Okay, when you get your round to this loop that you made, your chain, and I'm actually going to quick and remove these stitch markers now. There's no need for that to be there. They were just there to mark where I was putting my handles and make sure that I did things evenly. So I'm at the point where I am going to single crochet my last single crochet here before the chain, and then I'm going to single crochet 15 single crochets across my chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now my single crochets did not spread across my chain very well this time. I'm going to single crochet into the space, into the single crochet just before the end of my loop. So we have got a single crochet in each one. We've got or 15 single crochets, a single crochet for each chain. And then we just continue the round because we're just crocheting in the round still. That's all we're doing, crocheting in the round. I'm just single crocheting all the way around. And we're going to go around to the other side here, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So let's just pause this quick. So on the other side, we're going to do the same thing with this chain. We're going to do 15 single crochets over the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, this yarn's getting tangled up. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then we're going to crochet into the first single crochet after that chain. So we've got a nice little handle started here. Now, to complete this, we have to go all the way around 2 more times on this, and then we're just completing the rounds. So on this chain, let me show you on this side. Since we've now got single crochets over the chain, as we're doing our round, we're just going to single crochet through all of these single crochets on the handle. So we're just going to keep going round and round, but now we have basically a cutout for a handle. So let's just get ourselves around to the first handle, and I'll show you what I mean. Almost to the handle here. I'm actually kind of thrilled because my camera on my iPhone has never had a pause option. And I now have a pause option. And it looks like maybe that is like a photo option. No, I have no idea. Maybe it took a photo, maybe it didn't. I'll find out when I'm done making the video. So my iPhone has some new features to the camera that it didn't used to have. So we shall see. Okay, now we have almost reached this first handle, so we're about to start over the top of this handle. Right here, I'm gonna single crochet in every single crochet up over this handle. Which will make the handle just a little bit thicker. And then I like to go all the way around another time. I think you can actually do it even 4 times, but I usually stop at 3. I think 3 is sufficient for a bag this small. I think I went with 4 when I made a much larger bag. But then I also made the handle larger, like the single crochets in between, and then the chain was longer too on my larger bag. Like I said, everything about this bag is customizable. This is just the bare bones, basic information on how I make this bag. Okay, we are over the handle now. So let me just turn it around and show you. This is what it looks like with the second round. And like I said, I like it just a hair bit thicker. So we're going to go around and we're going to do the round all the way around. So this side is the same thickness, and then we're going to do one final round. And then I will show you how I finish it off. Okay, we're almost done. This side is done. This is the finished handle on this side. This is the 3rd round, and I am just going over the handle one last time on this side. We are on the handle. So this bag is almost complete. And then now I have 2 others started. I really think for this small bag that 3 rounds works very well. Now I don't have a ton of ends to weave in at the very end, because the ones at the one at the starting point I crochet over. We're almost here. And once I get past this handle, okay, now I am past my handle, so then I am going to finish this, slip stitch into a single crochet, chain 1, and I always do the chain 1 because otherwise the ends tend to come loose, and then you snip off with enough tail to weave in, and then pull tight. Now let me hold up this bag here. Step back. This is the finished bag. I just have to, like I said, weave in this end here, and then I have one on the inside from my last color change because one of the tails I did cover up. But this is the completed bag at the end. Now I did pause this video multiple times throughout, otherwise it would probably be at least an hour-long video. And also my dog barked a few times, but I knew it was going to happen, and I used those opportunities to pause. But this is the completed bag, and I love these bags. I give a lot of these bags away as gifts. This is like one of my favorite things to make, even though this makes my hand sore, I still make one every so often. Like I'll stop and just make one. They're so easy. Like I said, it's literally just as simple as making a rectangle base and then crocheting in the round and round and round. And like I said, you get up to round 36 roughly. If you're making a larger bag, you're gonna go higher before you start your handle. You can even on this bag here go higher if you want. Say you wanted a deeper bag, because this one's only about 10 inches high. So if you wanted, you could make, this actually might be slightly higher. I know this one's 10 inches and yeah, no, they're the same. Okay. But yeah, you can make the base longer, you could make it wider, you could make a round base and just go in the round. You can make your bag really high if you want. You could do this width and length, but then go considerably higher. That would also work. But I love the end result. I love these bags. Thank you for tuning in and watching my tutorial. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully it's useful. I do think that I should probably have a little bit better setup if I want to do a tutorial on how to make something. But that's something that I'll just have to work on. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.